We're seeing today the emergence of cyber capabilities in the military sphere, or weapons that have increasingly autonomous features, that is, features and functions that operate autonomously and independently from any human control. Any new technology of warfare does not develop in a legal vacuum. Any new weapon must be used and must be capable of being used in accordance with international humanitarian law. And there are rules of international humanitarian law that govern the use of all means and methods of warfare, including new weapons and new technologies. So those rules are the obligation to distinguish at all time between civilians and combatants, and civilian objects and military objectives. So, for example, distinguishing between a hospital, a school, and a military barracks. The latter are a lawful target. The former are not and must be protected at all times. In the cyber realm, the big problem is the question of attributability. How can you attribute a specific cyber attack? The difficulty is because very often these attacks are anonymous. We don't know who is the perpetrator of this attack. And anonymity in the cybersphere is a big problem in terms of accountability. If indeed an attack is launched, that either a direct attack against civilian assets or an attack that causes disproportionate harm to civilians and therefore would be unlawful under IHL. In the robotic sphere and in the case of autonomous weapons, the question of accountability arises because if you have a weapon, a weapon programmed with machine learning, etc., that itself identifies and attacks targets without human intervention, if the machine should perpetrate an act which amounts to a war crime, a serious violation of international humanitarian law, who would be responsible? Would a human being be accountable for such a violation? And the question centers around, can the programmer of the machine be held accountable? Or can the commander, the human commander, soldier, that has decided to deploy the weapon, can that person be held accountable for the acts of the weapon? The crux of the matter is, were the weapons acts foreseeable by the commander, by the programmer? And looking at that, we might be able to construct accountability under criminal law. But this is very difficult and it's not a given. The profound questions raised by cyber warfare and autonomous weapons systems, profound legal, societal, ethical questions, are questions that concern humanity as a whole, not just the countries that are developing these new technologies. So it is a question that all states should be interested in.